Right, so in this session, I'll be doing a little bit of how to get started with BoxLang. And I'll be definitely interested in you guys if you have questions, obviously coming from a CFML background, what are some differences and everything. And I'll try to make sure if I can cover the basics, right? So these are really not advanced things. This is more of kind of how to get started, how to get your feet wet with BoxLang. And we'll traverse in things are getting a little bit more complex. Brad is actually doing another session after me, which is a little bit more complex of building modules. And then tomorrow I'm doing another one on serverless. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Luis, CEO Vortex engineer, and one of the leads here for BoxLang. All right, so I want to cover a little bit of what is BoxLang, features, a little bit of what we're going to be seeing today, and how to get started and how to get working. Okay, and we'll love some feedback or questions as well. So as you saw in the keynote, BoxLang is a modular dynamic language for the JVM. This is kind of our standard approach to things, and of course it speaks CFML as well with our multi-parser capabilities. So it is definitely also a new language, like I said, and a new runtime, but it can basically drop and replace your coefficient-reducing installs. It is lightweight. It is 7 megabytes, the entire runtime, dynamic and loosely typed, of course, as we're used to. But the differences now are, of course, multi-runtime, as we saw this morning. You can actually start off with the operating system and then move into other spaces where you can actually execute and run your code. Okay? Multi-parser as well, modular and extensible. And like I mentioned, it can replace your current CFML installs, open source version, a free version. But we also have the subscriptions as well available, which includes a lot more stuff since we've been doing professional open source for over 19 years. So you get a lot of cool stuff. All right, let's start here, multi-runtime. How do we get started? Well, we're gonna get started today with the CLI. Okay, now we can actually work at the operating system level like any other language, okay? And I'll be showing you how to get started with that. We actually built a CLI framework per se, and this will allow you to basically not build things in Python or build things in Go. Nope, you can all build them now in BoxLang. Okay? We'll delve a little bit further and show you a little bit about the mini server as well, how we build the mini server, how it works, how you can configure it, and what you can do with it. Okay. That basically gives way to the next runtimes, which is the VS Code LSP. So the language server protocol that we integrated with VS Code, we're going to be working on the IDE. Okay. Now the magic behind the LSP is not really implementing the LSP, it's actually the LSP talking to our parser. Okay. So this gives us actually the ability for us to use the BLAST or the BoxLang abstract syntax tree to basically identify all the nodes in a source code file. Okay. And then we'll delve a little bit into command box. Just out of curiosity, are you guys using command box for deployments right now? Okay. We'll delve a little bit into command box as well. Now, there's many other runtimes that we could address, but obviously we don't have a lot of time. And tomorrow, I'll be touching on pure lambdas. So if you guys are interested in going into serverless and how to actually build applications with serverless, I'll do a little bit of a session tomorrow on this. All right, so moving and starting, important, multi-parsers. So you can actually build your applications with BoxLang, in CFML, or both, okay? So obviously we manage a lot of libraries, right? So if you have already, for example, a callbox application can actually run on both now. You can actually, we have a new template called BX default, which is a pure BoxLang callbox application, or you can mix and match, okay? So if you wanted to start building new things in BoxLang, you can, and then leave the rest in CFML, you can. You have two options. You can transpile that CFML just in time. That means that it will run in the runtime, it'll convert your CFML, transpile it to our BLAST, and then it executes in a runtime. Or you can use our transpiler, right? And that's kind of a one-way one way out. One way out. These Macs always have these issues. Let's try it. Disconnect, connect. Nope. Weird. Does that mean no signal? Kind signal?
Yeah.
Yeah, but were you HDMI 2?
The who?
HDMI plugged in behind?
I don't know. I haven't kicked anything. Weird. Does anybody have another connector just in case this one blew up? Oh, okay. Disappeared.
No, it's okay.
Oh. Oh.
We can test if it's the connection with my laptop. Just
Yeah,
plug it.
green lights are coming back.
Oh, is it coming back?
You want to try that?
The green lights here.
We'll try another one.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Another green lights now. It goes on and off.
Well, it's sharing the whole thing. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
It's back.
Yay.
promoting you like a spec.
Woo, woo.
Wrong machine.
All right, let's try it with this one.
That's wrong here.
Searching.
There is one laptop here. We always have trouble.
Oh, oh.
Too
No.
fast. Then we wait long. Ever try turning it off and on again?
That's the last recourse. Vamos.
Ah.
Nah, it doesn't show up in here. It says screen mirroring. Let's try now. All right. All right, transpider. So like I said, you have the two options. Like Brad mentioned as well, there are certain things that activate when you're in BoxLang source code that you're not if in your CFML. But the idea is that you have those two parsers. And actually, we're building two more transpiders. We're building one for COBOL and one for Groovy as well. All right, so the CFML drop-in replacement. So if you actually want to test this with your current CFML code, you can basically make sure you install the bxcompat CFML module. And you can use these tools as well if you want to do feature audits. So if you want to figure out if your app is compliant, you can just say BoxLang feature audit and choose your source, which is your source code directory. And it can actually spit out reports of things that are missing or things that could be incompatible. Okay. So we've tried to make all these tools easy for you to see if it works. Very used to the CFML types. They're very similar, of course. And like I said, you can use both on both areas. Okay. Whether they're classes, scripts, or templating. If you're coming from CFML, we've actually documented everything that's different. Okay, so you can go to this guy right here, and this will be our syntax style guide for CFML. And you're going to see everything of the different decisions that we took, how we transpile your code, right, and some differences that are available. Now, like I said, the compat module, it basically eliminates all those differences. The idea is that it's a drop-in, and then it will work just like it was. All right, some of the things just to mention that are available to you now. Of course, the 100% Java interop, autocasting, all those type promotions, type contagions, extend Java, implement Java, import Java, all these things are natural, okay? Classes, like I mentioned, they're not called components, they're classes. You have everything that's available to you for object orientation. Okay? The introduction of pure functions is something that we really wanted to do. So this is something that if you want even more performance and actually abstractions, you can use pure functions. This means that they're like closures, but they're not the fat arrow, the tiny arrow. And this means that they do not have access to the outside world. They just take in arguments and they produce a result. So they're deterministic functions, okay? So when you use these pure functions, you can get a huge boost in performance because you don't have to keep track of everything. And of course, you can even pass pure functions around. We also have the concept of unmodifiable types. Like we mentioned, we have a lot of asynchronous stuff that you can use now. So you can actually make a query and tag it and say to unmodifiable. And it will make that query edit or read only. And then nobody can edit it when different threads are interacting with it. You can do the same with an array or a struct. You can say this array is now unmodifiable. So you won't get any concurrent modification exceptions or anything of that nature. Okay? Event-driven language, you can tap into the actual runtime. The caching engine is available to you as well. If you ever used ColdBox, we had CacheBox. We have now BoxCache. See what we did there? We flipped it. There. Task scheduling, like we mentioned. Member functions, tag islands, extensibility, metaprogramming. Hopefully, if I have time, I want to show you the new metaprogramming aspects that we've done. I used to do a lot of Groovy development back in the day, and a lot of cool metaprogramming that Groovy has is now available as well in BoxLang. You also have, through metaprogramming, the ability now to listen to array or struct as change listeners. So we can actually create basically our own function and we can detect when things change on structs and arrays. The sync framework, and of course, a lot more. All right, so how do we start? Okay, first of all, first requirement, JDK 21, that's the first requirement. We're going to be working with JDK 21 forwards. You can install the binaries and the IDE, and we're going to go through that. Warning, like I said, the runtimes, there's not only one. This is the first thing, is to get your mind out of the web server. Okay, we've been in the web server for many, many years. Now you have the capability to go above and beyond in other locations. So every runtime is specific to the way it is deployed. Okay, so if we're working on the operating system runtime, which we will right now, there is no concept of form, there is no concept of URL, no CGI scope, no page context. We're in the OS. Okay, if we move to another runtime, things activate. Okay, so know that beforehand, and we've tried to document as much as possible with that. So we're going to start off with the operating system binary. This is the first kind of easy way to start. We're going to install the binary. This will allow you to basically do scripting. Okay, so this is the scripting language portions of it. So now you don't have to do things in Python or Bash or PHP or whatever in the OS. Now you can do it through BoxLang. And I'll show you scheduling as well, how to build a scheduler and actually replace cron jobs if you wanted to, and CLI applications. There's two approaches. You can use our quick installer, which is terminal based, or a Windows GUI installer as well. But at the end, you're going to have those 4 binaries that you see here installed for you, and a box on home. The 4 binaries here will start from left to right. The BoxLang binary. The BoxLang binary is basically what we use for a REPL, what we use for code execution, what we use for a transpiler, compiler, feature audits, and the scheduler. Okay, this is kind of the main core binary. Then we have install-boxlang. This is just a script that allows us to install the operating system binary and update it. Okay. Then we have install-bx module, which allows us to list and install modules. Little thing of what's coming in the future. Obviously, CommandBox has not been migrated to BoxLang yet, but in the future, CommandBox and BoxLang will be together. Okay, so CommandBox will now become BPM, or our BoxLang package manager, and everything will be basically integrated into BoxLang. Okay, and of course we have the other one, the BoxLang mini server, which is the binary to create mini servers. So these are the 4 kind of little tools that you're going to have available at the OS level. Once we install this on the OS and we execute it for the first time, BoxLang is going to basically create a user home. Okay, this is the same that happens with Groovy, with Python, right, or any other language. For us, we've chosen the user home, so whoever is actually installing it, so if this is Linux, if you choose the home where this installs, you can do that. It'll go through the user home.boxlang. And inside, you're going to get something like this. Okay, this is the initial home for the language. It'll have a classes folder. This is where all the compiled classes are going to go. Okay. The config is where all the configuration files will go as well. I'll show you once it comes online. There's a lib folder as well, and this is for Java integration. This basically means that any jar inside of this lib basically is now exposed to the entire class loader. So the entire runtime you can place those Java files there, and they will be available everywhere. Okay. With that, we've also introduced a pom.xml available to you to manage all those Java dependencies. Okay, so this is there, and you can actually add your own Java dependencies, and with a simple command, you can basically populate the runtime with whatever libraries you want. And then, of course, the modules, anything that we extend goes into the modules, and the log files are all there in the logs. Okay. You can all see this through the IDE as well. All right, so the core is very tiny with an intent. Everything grows through modularity. Okay, we use the binary that we showed, install.-bx module, to install the specific module. You can also use command box. Remember, these two will merge at one point, okay, in the near future. And of course, over 30 or something modules that are available to you as well. So let's start getting into some coding here. So let's try to go through the quick installer, install a normal stable version of BoxLang. Sometimes there might be occasions where we say, okay, this is fixed on snapshot. Why don't you test the snapshot? We'll show you how to do the snapshot version of it, right? Then let's install a few modules. We also want to create a few mini servers and actually show you debug modes as well. All right, so where do we get this? Well, if we go to Ortus books there's two places you can see it. I'm going to show you the two places. If you go to boxlang.io, you'll see here the quick installer. Okay, so the quick installer right here is very simple for Bash or SSH, or Windows PowerShell. Okay, all that same kind of information is here under installation. Okay, you can see the requirements right here, whether, depending on your operating system, right? So if I'm on Mac, for example, in my situation, right, I can install, first of all, the requirements. Remember, we need JDK21 and ability to zip and unzip stuff. And JQ is also required here for requirements. I already went ahead and do that. I didn't want to show you brew here, but let me go here. And in the back, is the font okay, or want me to pump it? Pump it?
Yeah.
Like that? Right. So I'm in an empty folder, as you can see, and I'm just going to copy right here from here, and this is going to allow me basically to run this. And what it does, it's basically going to download the binary. It actually detects if you have the JDK21 and some requirements. And then you can see that it detected previous versions, so it actually removes previous versions. It's going to download the mini server binary as well. Obviously, the Wi-Fi is not incredibly great here. But you can now see that it went through, it installed it. It basically told me, hey, the binaries are now installed here. The jars that we're using for this binary collection is there. Your home is now set there. It gives you a way for you to export that home if you wanted to. So if you can use this throughout your operating system right there. And I'm ready, right? I can even say BoxLang version. And now basically I've installed version 1.1. You can see, and now I'm ready. Right? I'm ready to start working with BoxLang. So very, very easily, we wanted for you to be able to do that. Yes?
JDK or is it
JRE.
JRE?
Yeah, sorry, did I say JDK?
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
I think JDK.
Does it say JDK here? Well, that's the requirement that they do, but it's really JRE. Yeah. Now, granted, if you use a JDK, we have a special feature in BoxLang where you can actually convert your CFML and BoxLang code to Java code. and we had some requirements from some clients that they wanted to produce from CFML Java code. They wanted to run that through static analysis information and then basically compile it to bytecode. So there is that possibility. For that to work, you need the JDK. We haven't documented a lot about this, but it's coming. Okay. All right, so that's the quick installer right here. Let me now show you how to upgrade to the snapshot. So let's say that you're working on this and you discover a bug, and we say, okay, you need to install the snapshot, test it, and report it back. So I can say install BoxLang, and now I can pass in a version. You can be very specific, so you can say 1.1.0 plus 321, right? The build number. Or you can just say, give me the snapshot, which is the latest version that is in development. So right now I'm gonna install the snapshot, okay? The script will take care of upgrading already. You don't have to worry about this in the operating system. It'll take care of upgrading your jars. Granted, we've discovered a bug with Charlie that in Windows it still doesn't do that. So if you're in Windows, be patient with us, we'll get that fixed. All right, so now I can say BoxLang version, and you'll see that it says 1.2 snapshot. So this is the version that we're gonna be releasing hopefully tonight. This is now the new version of BoxLang. So just like that, I can get started very quickly. Okay, same experience for Linux or for PowerShell. Okay. All right, let's see what else we do. Let's install a few modules. So let me install a BX module. Let me do BX Markdown. I'm gonna install Markdown. And then I'm gonna install the AI module. Okay, just for kicks. Wi-Fi slow. Maybe I should have picked the smaller module, right?
Quick question, on Windows, you have to use PowerShell to install this?
PowerShell, yes. All right, so install the AI tool, install the Markdown. So let's look at the BoxLang home that we were talking about, okay? So if I go to my home and I go to BoxLang, if I can find it here, BoxLang. Maybe I can make this bigger, maybe not. Maybe like that. All right, you'll see that there's my BoxLang home, okay? Those are the classes, and I'll show you a neat trick as well on how to decompile these classes and actually see the code. Config, lib. Here I have already a few jar files that I'm working with in my application here. My log files, my Maven, POM, and you can see here I have my AI, my LSP, and my Markdown modules, okay? So I have those available. Okay. Let me go back here. Let's start a REPL. So I can say BoxLang and enter, and now I have a REPL. So let's say you want to quickly test a few things. How does this code work or whatever? We have this REPL. Granted, it's still a work in progress. It's not like the command box REPL, which is really fancy, but it's getting there. The cool thing about the REPL as well is that it also has memory. So if I define an array right here, and I say a.append Jorge, right? It has memory, see, and I'm adding it to that array, okay? So it kind of keeps track of all the variables that you do and keep them there, right? And if you just put the name of the variable, it will output it for you, right? I can say get module list, and it will give me all the modules that are installed in my runtime here. I can say key array just so I can read it a little bit better. And you can see here, those are the modules that are installed, right? So just a traditional REPL is available to you as a developer. You want to test something real quick, boom, jump into the REPL, test it out, and then you can exit, okay? So that's the REPL. All right, move on, more little examples here. Let me create a directory here in my demo, and let's call it mini server. Now I'm doing everything through the CLI for the moment. The next step is going through the IDE, okay? I don't have anything in my mini server right now. So why don't we create a file, okay? And let's edit it. Let's go old school, all right? So we'll do a bx output hello from mini server. Okay. And why don't we do a bx dump of the server scope. Okay. Interpolate that one. All right. Simple, right? Nothing fancy, just a small little file. And now I can say BoxLang mini server. And just like that, it basically creates my server and I'm done. You can see it's extremely performant. Okay. And run it, and there we go. Create a mini server. Okay. I can see my dump here, all my information. There's a few things that are different here when you dump the server scopes. You have a CLI scope that we're going to be working with when we create CLI apps. That's going to have basically the command that was used to start up the runtime, the arguments. We actually parse all the arguments for you according to the CLI standards, and the execution path. And of course, we have a BoxLang, which gives you the BoxLang ID, the modules that are installed, right? And all the mappings that are there available for you, okay? So this, a little bit of an enhanced server scope available for you as well. So now the cool thing about the mini server is that it's super configurable. It can do full rewrites, okay? You can choose the port, you can bind it to any IP, you can choose your own configuration path. You can actually change the BoxLang home. So right now the mini server is using my operating system home. So all the modules that it will use the operating system ones, okay? So that's a difference that you guys need to be aware of, right? So that mini server can look at your operating system and decide what it uses, okay? Now, a cool thing is that it also has full WebSocket support, okay? So this is one, it was really important for us because this is how we're building the admin and how we're gonna be able to connect to remote administrators is full WebSockets are native for BoxLang now, okay? So if we actually made a mistake, so let me open it here so it's a little bit easier. Let me make a mistake here on the index. Okay, and let me start it up again. Okay, you see that it doesn't give me any exception tracing or anything of that nature because by default it's basically trying to do information hiding, right? But obviously as a developer, I need to know what happened, right? So again, you'll see the stack traces come up in your console, right? They'll go to the home, in the BoxLang home as well, but we don't want to work like that. You can basically just say debug, and you can start basically the application now in debug mode. So now when you're in debug mode, now you get more information, okay? There's also a lot of modules that listen to dumps, that listen to exceptions, and can activate themselves as you go through. So make sure that you're in debug mode when you're working locally, because now you're going to see errors. Yes?
Isn't the message that is shown in this output a little bit too much already? Because it's some information about the code.
Oh, the first one, the message? Well, it can. I think that right now this is the default template, but if people feel that that's too much, maybe we can tone it down. We're okay with that. If people feel that that's too much.
50 minutes.
50?
15 minutes.
Oh. That's the Latino in me. Trying to negotiate more minutes. But good observation, yes. I think that we can do that. Now, the custom templates is something that we're working on as well. So if you want to do something very specific, that will come as well. Okay. Right, that's the mini server. Really fast, really performant, right? Get up and started very, very quickly with BoxLang. Right, they're rushing me now, so let's do more stuff, more cool stuff. Let's move to more cool stuff. All right, that was from the CLI. So how do we start building a little bit of the CLI apps, right? We saw in the demo today, this morning, that every class can have a main function, and that main function is executable by convention, okay? So we can execute that for you. You can also execute BXS files and VXM files on the CLI as well. And we are introducing a few bits for you to work with the CLI framework. You have CLI get args, and I'll show you that. It basically will parse all the arguments for you according to the CLI standards. CLI clear will clear your CLI. CLI exit to do exit codes, and CLI read to get input from the user. Okay. You also see that the server.cli scope is available to you as well, with the command, the parsed arguments, and the execution path. CLI options, I keep saying the CLI standard, and there is a CLI standard for building CLIs, and we wanted to have that in BoxLang. So you can basically create the concept of options, okay, by using a dash dash and then the name of the option, and that basically becomes a true. A dash dash option equals, you can assign a value to an option. You can do -o or minus whatever you're calling with a value. That's a shorter formats. You can use the negation with the dash dash, how do you call that? The hashbang? Is that the hashbang mark? The little question mark, exclamation mark? Exclamation mark. Option.
The hashbang is a different kind of party.
Okay, I won't go there. All right, and then you can do the dash dash no mark dash option, right? So these are the conventions. They're all available to you as well. Okay, we'll do a little bit of examples of those. Another important aspect is for DevOps. Okay, a lot of DevOps folks are using Python or using Go or whatever. Now you can use just BoxLang, right? So you can use shebang scripts. Okay, by using the hash and then the exclamation mark, and then you're telling the operating system which environment to run this, which is BoxLang, and basically just becomes a big script, right? So you can see here, here's my script. Now it's basically just a shell script, and then here I can just execute my shell script. I can pass here the option called name and a true value here for -d. Okay, so all these things are now available to you. Schedulers, I think this was transformative for us, is that we wanted to create schedulers that were humanly friendly. So now you can create a simple class. There's one function called configure, okay, and then inside of it you will configure your scheduler, and you can have as many schedulers as you want. Every scheduler has a set of injections that we give you, okay? They'll give you the name of the scheduler, the runtime, even the logger available to you, an asynchronous service, caching, etc. And then you can choose a human-friendly name for your scheduler for reporting and logging. You can choose the time zone for the scheduler. So if you want a specific scheduler to run just for New York time, you can. And then you can basically start defining how the scheduler works. So you can say scheduler.task, the name of the task, and then you say, okay, what am I gonna call? And that's a Lambda or a closure. And this is up to you. Whatever's inside is what the task is going to be. Okay? And then you have a human-friendly approach of saying when. Okay? And it can be every 2 minutes, every 2 nanoseconds, actually. So we even implemented microseconds, especially if you are building things with embedded devices. You can go and do extreme operations. You can say on the first business day, on the last business day. There are tons of helpers to help you make a fluent scheduling task. Okay? And then we can start it up really quickly, and we'll do that as well. All right. So the IDE, we made a lot of work on this in order to make your life experience a lot better when working with it. I did a little bit of the demo today about everything that we have available now on the IDE. So I'm going to be working with the IDE now. A little bit of the tools that you see here I'm going to be using as well. I'm not going to be choosing anything of the home manager, but I'll show you where the versions are. And the important thing is the debugging, right? How do we start working with the debugger as well and connecting it to the different things. So let's build a few examples here. Let me close this guy. I encourage you to look at our BX demos repo that we did.
5 minutes.
Okay, I can do it. I can do it.
Because you're Latino, I'll give you 10.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you, Chris. All right, so let's try to see if we can get a lot of things done in 10 minutes. All right, I'm going to open here a task, BX. So this is a simple task that I can create with the CLI. I can receive arguments through it, right? I can do my normal task and I can print the arguments here, right? There's several ways to run this. I'll do both. One is I can go from the terminal, right? And I can say BoxLang, and where is this guy? Scripting task, right? And just run it. And you can see that it runs, it says there's no arguments, right? Now I can pass some arguments and say minus D option, well, I'm gonna say here, file equals target.csm, right? Oops. I don't know what I'm doing. Here, just do that one. All right, so that's the scripting. You can see that it receives the arguments positionally through these guys, right? So these are positional arguments. So if I run it through here, it'll also do the same thing, and it'll ask you. So I pass 1 and 2, it'll execute it, and the arguments are positional, right? Okay, not a big deal. So let's change them up instead of being positional to a little bit more fancy stuff. So let me look at a script here, and you can see here that now you have the function CLI get args and server.cli parsed, right? The things that I was talking to you about, right? So if I actually run this guy just as is, it'll say, okay, the passed arguments are, and say positionals, options, and then the CLI parsed are the same, right? So we're doing all that for you. So when you actually do the terminal, right, and we execute that guy, so BoxLang, in this case, it was scripting hello.bxs, and we do -- name equals Luis, -- debug, right, and then we do -- no mark no, right? You see that now the options are mark no is false, right? Debug is true, and the name is Luis, right? So you can even mix and match, and if you actually add a positional value here, it'll arise into the positionals, right? So all that is done for you. It's just for you to actually interact and work with it, right? So all that hard stuff for CLI is done so you can interact with it. A little fancy one. You can see here a dad joke BX. So this is a class. This is basically taking in some arguments, right? I can get a term from the incoming arguments as position. If there is no term, right, it basically is just going to give us a random dad joke. And here we'll print line, hey, getting the dad joke for term whatever. Here's our HTTP call, okay? We deserialize the data, and then we present it, and if there's no jokes, we exit, and if it's empty, we print it, right? So we could basically just run it and go to the debug console. Why do wizards clean their teeth 3 times a day? To prevent back breath. Okay. So you can pass in a term, but very easily you can start integrating with the CLI right here, okay? All right, the shebang script in the demos, you can find it here, very easy, right? Just put in this magical first line, and then that's available to any Unix-based operating system for you to script in shell script, okay? That example is available as well, okay? We talked about the prompts as well. Here's a dad joke, but with prompts. So I can say CLI read and say, hey, what search term do you want to use, right? And then basically it'll do the search term, right? Kind of the same thing, but now it's asking you, right? So if we actually run this from the terminal, right? BoxLang scripting dad joke with prompt, okay? It'll say, okay, what search term would you like to use? Leave blank for random joke. Sure, random. What do you call dictionary and drugs? High definition. Okay, interesting. Okay. So now you have these capabilities to work with the CLI apps, right? Let's do a scheduler before Chris gets mad and kicks me out. So here's the scheduler that I was showing you. So it's a simple class. Here's my scheduler. Here's my configure. This is the time zone, UTC, the name. So I can call it my CFCamp demo, my demo task, and I can say I am a CFCamp task with a date format, print it, and give a random range as a return, right? I want this to execute every 2 seconds for now, right? Just as an example. And I can just say BoxLang schedule, and then what file do you want to send for scheduling? Well, we want to send the scheduler. And that's it. It started the scheduler, and it's now running and basically executing my schedule. Okay. And those are the results, and it will keep running forever. Now, the cool thing that I didn't show you here is the lifecycle callbacks. So every scheduler now has the ability to have a function when it starts up, a function when the scheduler shuts down, okay? A function when there's any exception inside of the task error, any task success, before any task, and after any task. And you can create even an Uber interceptor that does this for all schedulers, right? So if I actually go back here and I cancel it, you'll see that it says shutting down scheduler because it was intercepted, right? So you have a lot more capabilities now to do these things. I see Chris getting mad at me.
No,
All right.
not really.
Not yet? All right, I showed you this morning about the mini server, so maybe that would be the last demo. So very easy, we have that BoxLang server here. Very easily, you can add any type of server with the name. You can choose a relative path, right, of the directory you want to use, and you can do all kinds of stuff here. Oops, I just messed it up by closing it. But it's easy when you just right-click, right, and just say, hey, I want a mini server here, right, and there you go. Now I'm working with my application, right, and I'm there, right. So if you actually wanted to get even fancy on this application, so I can go to the mini server, oops, cd mini server, right, I can create a new dir cb app, and I can go into command box. Let's see if I can do it in record time here. Oh, come on, ngrok. Don't sync, okay. Callbox, create, app, skeleton, rest. Right. So in the same kind of mini server, it'll start generating my little Callbox app right here. Install all the goodness, and then I can work with it. So the idea is for you to start working with it. Like I showed you this morning, if I wanted to do debugging, I can come into the mini server and attach the little bug, and now it's in debug mode, okay? So I can even debug my complete application here as well. So if I wanted to do my echo here, I'll try to do a breakpoint here while everything is installing, because the internet is slow. And let's go to my, oops, CB app. Okay. And, oh, it's so fast. There it is, right? It's now I'm basically debugging my Callbox application, okay, right here. Okay, I can move, okay. Oops. Oh, I didn't install the CFML compat on that one. All right, time. Okay, so one other thing just to show you before I end, since remember I'm missing the BoxLang, the CFML compat, and I don't have it in my operating system, well, I can say install bx module, bx compat CFML, but I can also install it locally, and this follows the patterns of other languages. And this installed it right here in my Callbox application, BoxLang modules. So this will take precedence over the operating system. So now the BoxLang modules here, I don't have to commit them to source code. These are specific to your application. These are the modules only for this app, and they take precedence over the other modules that are available to you. Okay. So I wish I could show you more. There's a lot more that I could show you here, but for that, we will have to do another session. But thank you, I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, look me up, and hopefully you guys can get started really quickly.